One of the big problems we all have in math classes is we really don't understand the words that our teachers are using. And part of this is because we've heard them so much throughout our entire lives that we think we know what they mean. Kind of like a very common phrase in a math class is combine like terms. But if I were to ask you what a term was, you'd probably go, it's things with stuff on it and that kind of thing. So what are terms? Let's start here with just some of our basic definitions. So terms, very simply, are just things added together. All right, very, very simple. So if we were to come over here and I give you something like 2x plus 3y minus 4, then here we have three terms. And the terms are here, we'd have a 2x, a 3y, and a negative 4. So very, very simple. Terms are things that are added together. Let's take a look. What is an equation? I know we've all seen equations in the past. Again, a very simple definition. An equation is just something with an equal sign. That's it. Very, very simple. So if it has an equal sign, it's an equation. So what is an expression? Well, a very, very simple definition, it would be something without an equal sign. I'm going to make it a little bit more complicated than that, but that's really the difference between the two. An equation has an equal sign and an expression doesn't, but really an expression is a group of numbers, variables, and operations. So what do we mean by this? Now, anytime you got some numbers, of course, we know what those are. Variables, of course, are letters. And what I mean by operations are like add, subtract, multiply, divide, that kind of thing. So if we were to look over here with the first thing that I wrote, this is an expression, right? Does not have an equal sign. But if I were to change it just a little bit, this now turns into an equation. Now, the reason that we want to be able to distinguish between the two things, an equation and an expression, is because we do different things to them. Equations, we solve. Expressions, we simplify. All right, again, I put two new words on the board. I'm not sure we know what either one of these means. So let's start with simplify. So when you read the direction simplify, what's that telling you to do? Well, let's take a look at this expression. Let's say if I have 2x plus 3. If I were to ask you how many operations there are up here, there's actually two. You have the plus, and then you also have this multiplication. That's 2 times x. Now, since we have two operations up here, we want to try to do those. However, we can't do this multiplication because I don't know what x is, and we can't add these things together because those are not like terms. Since all the operations that we can do are done, we would say that this is simplified. So that's actually what it means to be simplified. It's telling you to do all the operations that you can. So there, all the operations are done that we are allowed to do. So if I were to change this a little bit and add another operation, let's say plus 4. Now we have 3 operations, multiplication and 2 additions. Now this addition over here we can do, which means this expression is not simplified. But as soon as we do that operation and we get, what, 2x plus 7, now that we can't do any more operations, this expression is simplified. All right, one last word I want to talk about, and it is solve. Now, solving is more of a process, and depending on what type of equation you're dealing with, you have different solving processes. But hopefully you would agree, if we're solving an equation, we're looking for the solution. So what does it mean to be a solution? So let's come over here and write down a pretty easy equation. Let's say we have x plus 2 is equal to 3. Now, hopefully everybody can already solve this type of equation, but most of you would say x equals 1 is the solution. So my question to you is, why would you say that? And it's not because if you subtract 2 from each side, that's how you get to the solution, but why is 1 itself a solution? Well, 1 is a solution. X equals 1 is a solution because 1 plus 2 is 3. Now, we actually knew this answer, but we had it worded differently when we were growing up. We were always told anytime we solve an equation, we wanted to check to see if it's a solution. How do we always check to see if it's a solution? By plugging it back in and see if it gives us a true statement, or if it works, is what my teachers used to say. So that's the actual definition of solution. Here's what it is. It's the value or values that when plugged into the original equation gives a true statement. So it's the value or values that when plugged into the original equation gives us a true statement, which also always gives us a way to check to see, after we solve an equation, if our answers are actually correct. So throughout this semester, vocabulary is going to be very important to us. So make sure that you're learning these words. It'll make the process much, much easier.